If you want to do that, you can.
We're live now.
Oh, I'm Maddie.
I'm Ryan. Welcome to Insomniacs in the Morning. Maddie is
a place where we are tired, and for some reason we do a show while
okay, Maddie is not even coherent this morning.
But that's every time.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, sorry. I have put a banana in my mouth.
It's okay. I also tried to get the YouTube link in order to send a tweet about the show, and every time I do that, it starts playing the link, and then I have to quickly pause it so that there's not an echo, and it's like a great way to start the show. It's
there was that one time that Mary Ellen was like messaging us. She was tweeting at me being like, Ryan, there's two of you and I don't know how to stop it. There's something wrong with your show. And she sent me like 10 tweets. And finally on the last one, she was like, oh, I had to open in another window.
I have made that mistake, so I can't even really judge her. I don't open it in more than one window, guys. Hot tip. Here, let me try to adjust my webcam so you can actually see me at all.
Oh, hello. I would show you this, but I'm not going to. But over on the window over there, not the one behind me, there's one over to the left. I looked over and I realized that Lyra apparently went to look out the window and she dropped all of her toys in there. So there's just a bunch of dog toys in the window.
That's really cute.
Really is.
That is really cute. She probably thinks that's like her secret stash. Like
she has a crate that we call her den that she goes in all the time. She buries stuff in the blankets in there. So there was like one time when she was a puppy, I was like, where are all the butter knives? And I went to go get something out of her crate, and she had apparently been pulling them off of the counter and hoarding them inside of her crate. So I was like, I found all the knives.
Yeah. I mean, that's really adorable. Like, why butter knives?
I don't know. Dogs are weird. I love it, though. I really love it. Like, 100%. I think dogs are the cutest. Anyway.
Let's talk about dogs.
That's our topics for the week. Actually, let's talk about Robot Knights, because I know that I obviously know what's going on, but for the viewers, you should talk about your Indiegogo and how
it's going super well.
This is right now.
It's going super well. I just checked the page again, and we have $6,841, and we need $10,000.
So you're almost 70% of the way of your goal within like how many days? Like, no, it's been like a week, right?
Less than a week. No. Yes, exactly a week, I guess.
And it goes on for a month.
It does go on for a month, and I have to keep talking about it on Twitter for the entire rest of the month.
I mean,
sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, everyone. But
anyone who's listening to this, if you haven't tuned into her Indiegogo for Robot Knights, they posted one of the songs that's going to be on the album. And it's really fucking great. And I'm not saying this to be like, Maddie's my best friend. I'm just going to be like, promote her stuff. I have listened to the song so many times. Like, I plug it in and listen to it on YouTube in my car even. It's really well produced, and it's also really great because it's about werewolves on the dance floor.
It is about werewolves.
But it's like, it's actually about like going into a club by yourself, right? That's what it's actually about.
Yeah, it's about going to a club by yourself and being intimidated, but it's also metaphorically about werewolves.
Which is fine with me because werewolves are great and also hot, but we're not going to touch that one.
Apparently we are, because
that's true.
Robin Hood is a topic on this show, Disney's Robin Hood, so we're just going to talk about how
but I figured since that was actually inspired by Robot Knights and listening to a werewolf on the dance floor.
That's awesome. Yeah, like, we've recorded Werewolf on the Dance Floor before, but it sounded really crappy before because we did it all in one take, like really fast with some friends' equipment.
I mean, you can record separate tracks.
Yeah.
We recorded it in our room.
Well, we actually didn't even record separate tracks. We mic'd each instrument individually, but we did it all at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we recorded it at the same time, which is a great way to record a scratch track, which you can use for reference when you're re-recording your parts. That's normally what people do. Like, they record everything at once, and then you record over what you have so that you can keep track of it. But we never did that because we didn't have enough time to do it. So we just were like, I guess this is fine. And I don't know. Also, the mixing wasn't what we wanted.
Yeah, but I think the lesson there is now that you're doing like an album that's well produced, and it's like it sounds really significantly better.
Tired. I'm really fucking tired. But the point I was trying to make was, if you want to hear the difference, you can listen to the original version of Werewolves, and then you can listen to the version that we recorded in a studio with somebody who knows how to produce a song and like.
They're not both on YouTube. One's on Bandcamp, right, and the other one's on YouTube.
You can find all of our old songs on Bandcamp if you want to, or robotnights.com is an easy place to go to stream them. There's like a music tab that you can click on there. I don't know. You'll figure it out, internet. You're pretty smart. But I just think it's interesting because we were like a little hesitant to record Werewolves again because I was like, we've already recorded it, but like we all agreed that the recording of it that we had wasn't really what we wanted it to sound like.
Also, I mean, it's one of your favorite songs that you.
It's a great song, but we do have a lot of new songs. And originally when we started the campaign, the studio was like, it would be great if you recorded a new song that you've never recorded before. But we played him a bunch of songs and he picked Werewolves. He was like, this song's great. So let's just do that. And I was like, all right, I'm glad we won you over with the power of Werewolves.
I mean, that's fine. You know, what's fine is that you were also talking on Twitter about how like you've known your band members since like you were a teenager. So like Dan, who's your guitarist, you were in a band with when you were a teenager.
I know.
We've known each other
Shift for a really fucking long time.
Right.
And I have known Zach since high school, as have you. But I've known Dan since we were in like sixth grade.
Well, yeah, Zach wasn't in the band initially, or the first
he wasn't.
band.
He wasn't.
I don't remember who the drummer was in your band.
It was this guy named Hiro Tanaka who.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then
really popular. Like Hiro was really popular at school, and Dan and I were huge fucking nerds, and nobody liked us. And so we would just like bank on Hiro's popularity to like allow the band to continue to succeed. I was just talking to my mom about this over the weekend, and we were like having a good laugh about it.
That's funny. There was also a bassist in your original band.
There was a bassist. The second bassist we had was named Kayla. I don't remember.
I was going to say, was it
name.
Kaylee? So I was close.
Yeah, and before that, Preston played the bass, but he actually like really hated being in a band because he was so shy that he like really hated performing. He just liked hanging out with us.
Oh, being a teenager.
I know. And so eventually we were like, Preston, you can't be in the band if you don't ever want to perform. And he was like, okay, can I just hang out with you guys? And we were like, yeah. Being a teenager was great. Anyway,
I mean, it was fun. I remember there being a song called "The Cookie Song," and you were like, "This is the cookie song," and then you would throw cookies into the audience.
Oh my god, we did do that! I forgot all about that. Holy shit! All right.
Your mom and I were like standing there, being like, "Throw them to me." I think Steph was there. I don't know.
That was like another thing that we did to make sure people would like our band. A lot of people didn't think our band was very good, and they weren't wrong.
I mean, you were a teenager. Like, what? You were better than some of the bands that would play before you sometimes. Because I remember hearing some that was like just screaming. Your mom was so funny. She'd be like dancing anyway and be like, you're so supportive of everyone.
My mom was always supportive and she would always dance. But so often teens just won't dance to music. Even if they like it, they'll just stand there and stare at you awkwardly. So we played so many shows full of like gyms full of teenagers standing and staring at us.
Oh yeah, it was gyms.
We did that with everyone. It wasn't just us. It was just like playing for the most unreceptive audience in your life. That was really hard.
That's what you do, and like when you're a teenager.
It's so much easier now. It's so much easier now because now we play shows
at bars and like real
people
venues.
Just dance and smile at you like a fucking normal human. Like people smile and bob their head and they're like,
what you're saying is Werewolves on the Dance Floor is actually about your core audience.
Yeah. No, my core audience is they're werewolves if they want to be, but ordinarily I think they're a lot nicer than
they're vampires.
See, it's sort of interesting. Like, not to get into like the psychology of a song that I wrote, but like Werewolves on the Dance Floor kind of takes two stances where it's like maybe being a werewolf is actually really cool and I want to fit in with these people. But it's also like werewolves are really scary. So you have this sort of simultaneous thing going on where you're like intimidated by hanging out with people, like I always am, but you're also like, but actually when I think about it, these people aren't dangerous, they're really cool. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's like what the song is about, and both of those messages are there. Anyway, it's literally a song about werewolves. I can't believe I wrote it. Anyway, do you want to talk about what's going on with you?
Yeah, sure. So I didn't even get a chance to tell you about this. I don't know. It's like you and I like talk about a million things, right?
I know.
And then like we get on the show, you're like, so what actually happened in the past week?
I know. Well, it's funny because we talk constantly, but we still managed to be
I
like,
don't know. I think we spend more time talking about producing things or like complaining. So like, anyway, so I did this thing for my friend Felicia, who does my hair normally. She has a salon in the basement of her condo, which she has now renovated into an Airbnb, because her roommates.
money.
Well, she had 2 roommates, and they moved out. And then she was like, "I should just do an Airbnb because I would make more doing that than having roommates." And she travels all the time, so she could be like, charging people to live there for like a lot more money. And she's got a great place because it's got it's like a 3-story condo with like a deck and 2 bedrooms upstairs, completely renovated, all like posh hippie modern stuff. And so I was going over to get my hair done, which, fun fact, that didn't happen. It got rescheduled today because I went there. She's like, "Can you just like take a couple photos of like the Airbnb?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I show up with my camera, and of course it's me, and I can't just take a couple photos. So I do this for like 2 hours, and I make her a video so she could post it up like on her Airbnb
Yeah. That's
thing.
awesome.
But it's like I haven't actually traveled in an Airbnb yet. Like I
did once. I did
Yeah.
for New York Comic Con. I stayed in an Airbnb with a coworker of mine.
Yeah, and it's pretty common now.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like it was a nice opportunity to do like photos of like what would be a hotel, because I obviously I'm not shooting a real hotel, but like I was able to use that as inspiration to do it. And it was also really cool to see how she transformed her house into like this really cool, like posh place that you can rent out. And after they had cleaned it out, I was like, "Felicia, this is beautiful. I wish you had done this all along. It looks so good." Like,
but there were people living there, so she couldn't be like making it look nice.
But now she can make it look as nice as she wants it to. And because she's renting it out, you kind of have to keep up with that. But I mean, it was a cool experience. And then this is the fun fact, is that the people that were renting it out that weekend came while we were still there, because we were supposed to they were finishing up whatever they were doing, and we were going to do my hair. And I decided not to do it because it was taking so long to do everything else to get this Airbnb active. And it was an older couple, it was a man and a woman, and they were coming in for the college across the street because there was they were doing all their reunions. And so she came in, and first the woman was like, "Oh, you have a salon downstairs? Do you want to blow dry my hair?" And Felicia's like, "Well, technically I have to do Ryan first." I'm like, No, go do it, because I'm so much into the customer service thing. So we go downstairs, and her husband turned out to tell me that they both lived in Natick at some point. Right? Isn't that craziness? And it's
that, FYI for any new listener, that's Ryan's hometown.
Okay, no, so it gets even crazier. And so in the 80s for a couple of years, they lived in
Is it going to turn out that this man built the Natick Mall? And
no, that would be really funny though.
You're my hero.
This
Ryan's favorite place in the world, the Natick Mall.
No, it's far more crazy, because it turned out this guy lived in the specific condo building that I lived in for the 80s as well, before we got a house, which is craziness. He told me, I didn't say anything about that. He was like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, wait a second, that's really specific. So I was like, I actually know exactly what you're talking about. And this is craziness that's happening right now. So sometimes the universe does really weird things. And that
so
was
now you're best friends with this Natick couple.
No, it's not that. But it was it was just this crazy situation where they were like, "Oh yeah, this is where we used to live." And so I was like, that is insane. I mean, you know me, I'm into all the Zen bullshit. So
everything happens for a reason, which is actually a pretty good attitude to have.
Well, I try to do the whole you put out for the universe, and the universe will take care of you. So if you put it out there, that's my beliefs. I like to keep it simple. So
my mom is a similar way, or she is now, and I wish I could be more like that. She took a bunch of meditation classes and stuff, and maybe I'll do that, and then I can keep up with you guys.
Well, I mean, that's the only way I deal sometimes, because when you were angry about something recently, and I was like, it was something that happened to me, and you were angry about it for me. And I was like, and I was
so mad when shit happens to Ryan.
I know,
and vice versa.
But so she was all angry about it, and I was like, just don't worry about it, because there's a learning experience here for me, and there's a reason for it. So
it's a good attitude.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it keeps you from stressing out. So, But it was just like this weird coincidence, and I was like,
this is less of a learning experience and more like a spooky coincidence.
I mean, I guess they were both really nice, but so who knows? Maybe they'll see my photography and be like, hey. So I don't know. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is that starting Monday, the vlog goes live, which I'm going to start actually shooting on Saturday. So like, I'll be like, it's going to be like one of those things where it's like 2 days behind, but whatever. I'm really excited about the X-Men party.
Saturday. Yeah, we're having an X-Men party.
Like an actual X-Men party.
We're having an X-Men party. We're going to see X-Men, but before we even go, we're having an X-Men party. Are we dressing up as X-Men?
No, I think I put it in the event where I was like, we're not going to dress up this time because we're not like teenagers anymore.
Well, okay.
I mean, it wouldn't stop us.
I guess I won't dress up as an X-Men then, but I might do it anyway because fuck it, and I want something fun to do with my life.
I was actually thinking I was just gonna dress super 80s since it's an 80s themed movie. So
that's not a bad idea.
No, right?
Okay.
Because
I could do that.
You could work it. We can all wear yellow and be Jubilee. But basically, we're going to Katie's house first, and you guys will all get to see it on the vlogs if you want to see this afterwards. Tune in and follow the Sun vlog on YouTube
to film ourselves going to see X-Men and being a bunch of goofballs. Probably
it's gonna be really great. I mean, I'm super excited. I don't care how nerdy this is. Like, it's with the core group of people that we've known for like 20 years. So
I know it's
Katie's
boyfriend. It is the cast of D2, but also Katie's boyfriend is going to be there, and he hasn't met any of us before, and we're going to be really nerdy.
I mean, I guess, but he's also super nerdy. But funny enough,
from what I understand, he's slightly more normal than we are.
Maybe.
Who isn't?
I mean, I don't know what classifies as normal, but Katie introduced
speaking in a normal tone of voice.
I know, right? But we met her boyfriend, or like Steph and I did.
I haven't yet.
I know, but like she introduced him to both Steph and I on the same day, and I was like, well, I mean, that was really like you got us out of the way. Like getting Steph and I are like I guess you're the next one because you're also pretty intense, but everyone else is a little bit more like easy to navigate, whereas like the three of us are like just really intense individuals. Sometimes a little too scary.
Also, he's going to get like the overloaded version where we're all literally screaming at each other about X-Men because... Okay, so wait, are we going to talk about X-Men or do we want to do workout tips?
Let's do workout tips. And by the way, we're trying a different setup today. So our throwback isn't going to be at the very end because we're trying to make it so we don't rush through topics. We still may do it anyway, but anyway.
Okay. So give me your tip.
Okay, so today I was going to talk about... Well, actually, there's two things. I'm doing that thing where I drink the coffee and suddenly my brain's going all over the place. So first of all, I wanted to say one tip is to have a schedule for your workout, which we don't really talk about on this show. But I was thinking about it this morning because I'm going up to Natick for 2 days and I'm not going to be working out during that time. And the way I do things is I do strength training every other day. I do running about like 5 or 6 days a week, and I just kind of map it out. So for a situation like this, like I did strength training yesterday. I'm going to do it again today, and then take tomorrow off and do it on Friday, and then like have the weekend off. But it's really important to sort of like hold yourself to a schedule if you're like trying to do any kind of workout, because otherwise as somebody that like got really back into working out again in the past like 3 months, it was much harder to make myself do it when I was just like randomly doing it. But now like now you have to do it. So it's like it inspires you to actually get up and do the workout. And it's really hard to do it at first to put yourself on a schedule, but like it super helps. It super helps.
And also the reason why Ryan does strength training every other day is because you can't lift the same weights 2 days in a row. It won't help you. It'll actually be better for you if you lift weights every other day.
And take a break so you can like stretch and let them.
You have to take a break so that the muscles can rebuild and get bigger in between that time. And also, if you want to do what I used to do when I worked out every single day, like Ryan does, you could do leg day and arm day, which is how I used to switch it off. I used to actually do that. I don't now, but
oh my god,
it might start happening. It might start happening. I'm really trying to work on like depression lately. So.
I mean, and it does actually help with that. So
yeah. So
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because Kara just texted me and says, I'm watching your show. Say hi to me. And then she goes, okay, I'm going to the gym. Bye. So I guess we missed her.
Hell yeah. Carol is going to the gym. That's like right in tune with our workout tips.
Yesterday was Carol got a shout out for Robot Nights, right?
That's right. And the day before that, you got a shout out. If people donate and they take a selfie of them or their pet, I will post it. But that isn't a workout tip, Ryan.
No, sorry. I'm telling you, the coffee fucks it all up. Okay, yeah, I still haven't given it to you.
I know, you're like, so anyway, keep a schedule, but that's not even your tip.
I was also like, we gotta stay on track today. Ryan immediately goes way off the rails.
Keep a schedule when you're working out, but not on your morning show. Anything goes in that context.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about straight arm crunches, which I think we may have like touched on briefly at some point when we were talking about just regular crunches. But so there's 3 that I do, and you can either do it when you're laying on your back and just have your legs straight, or have your knees up. I do it with my knees up because I like doing that. And basically it's that motion where you have your arms straight out in front of you, sort of like Superman, from the old movies where he's like flying on a chair.
Or like a zombie is what I would think.
Okay, that's probably more accurate. And you push yourself forward. So the first like set that I do is usually just like getting up and pulling myself up in a normal crunch, but with my legs forward, going past like my legs and knees. And then the next one is sort of like an upward motion where I sort of like follow the go parallel, I guess, with my legs and knees and go up in that formation. Does that make any sense?
It kind of does. So I'm not really picturing it.
Okay, I mean,
are your legs in the air, straight in the air?
No. Your legs are Your legs. You're lying on your back, and your legs are like just like they're up, like or sorry, your knees are up.
So your knees are pointed.
Yes,
sort of towards the air.
That's the word I'm looking for. Pointed. And so the first set is just going straight past them, and the next set is going like up along them, so you're going like horizontally. And then the last one I'll do is I put my arms up straight behind my head and then pull my whole body forward.
Oh, that one's really hard. So do you do them in 3 sets? Like you do 20 in one and 20 in another? I don't know how many you do.
I mean, right now I'm doing 16s, but yeah, you can do it as many as you want. And another fun little trick that I just remembered the other day was it's called leg climbing, where it's the same idea where you're lying on your back. And
I know about this one.
I know, and I forgot about it for a while, but it's like one of my favorite exercises.
It's fun. It is fun.
It's not easy for everyone, but it is for me because I'm all like dangly and lanky. So like, I have the flexibility to do that.
Short. So if it's what I think you're thinking of, then you put one knee forward and then the other leg you lift sort of in the air at like a 45-degree angle from the ground.
Right.
And then you pretend to climb up your leg with your
like a tree,
hands.
And you just keep on doing that and going back down again. It's a lot of fun. I don't know why that's like so fun, but it just is. So
and just because you can pretend you're climbing a mountain or something. I don't know. It's more interesting than just doing crunches, and it feels a little more active and fun. And also it's a little bit easier because you're like using your leg for support, but you can still tell it's working out your abs.
Yeah, pretty much. So I recommend
both
those things.
That's like a million workout tips, so I'm going to go
sorry.
ahead and cut you off. It's okay, but don't give
cut
me
me
more.
off.
You gotta save some, man. We do this show every week.
Do workouts.
No, you're not. I hope you're not. That would be a concern if you were.
No, not yet. We'll touch on that. We'll see if that happens.
We'll talk about over-exercising someday. It's not good to do that. You can hurt yourself. Anyway, we work out a healthy amount, guys. I'm gonna give you a tip today that I know you need to hear.
It's like the tip is, Ryan, shut up and keep moving.
Another tip. That's one tip. The other tip is that I'm going to show you some stretches that I do. Okay, so I'm going to actually show them to you.
So I have to describe them. Got it.
Okay, so this one is a good one to do for if you've just been doing deadlifts or pull-ups. So it works out your back. So I guess I'll just do it and see if you can see me or not.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll try and describe it. So, Maddy has her fist folded behind her back, and she's stretching and crouching forward and pulling her arms over her head. Then she turned into a ghost.
I'll try to describe it. So you put your hands behind your back and fold them into a fist. And then you reach them out behind your back as far as you can while they're still folded together.
Yep.
And then lean forward. And it feels so cool. And like, I can pretty much go all the way down when I do it. But obviously, if you haven't been stretching for a very long time, you can't yet, but it feels really good on your back. It's a really good one if you're sitting at work for a long time and you just want to get up and like loosen out, which I do a lot during the day. Right. So I do that one, and then I do some stretches, and there's other arm ones that you can do, like reaching your arm across your body.
Oh yeah, I love that one. That's a good
great
one.
But and there's this one where you put your elbow behind your head and you drag it over.
Also,
those ones are great. Like yeah, those are great. Those are these ones, which you're doing. But those are pretty much just working out your arms. The one that I just showed you works out your arms, like it stretches out your biceps, and it also stretches out your back at the same time.
Yeah, which is really super important. I mean, your biceps are important, but your back is like the most important.
It is, and I know you're doing all these workouts, and I know you're not stretching, so please try to remember to do that one. At least that one. Because it's going to make your muscles way bigger if you do it. I promise.
Cool. Anyway. I could be Colossus and then get his power from the video game where he's like, brah, and like for some reason, like that's not his power, but he like creates like a force field. So whatever.
I like how you just did an X-Men segue. Thank you. Perfect. Let's talk about X-Men.
The news. So we're hyped for X-Men Apocalypse, even though the reviews are like the weirdest fucking reviews I've ever read.
They're literally hit or miss. Like it's literally at like 53%. It's a love it or hate it movie.
Yeah, and it seems to me that X-Men fans will like it, so we will like it, but it's not really catered towards the general audience, it sounds like. But there's been some cool like hype for it that we are like into. Like they just posted first on Twitter, but I think it's on YouTube now, like this promo ad for Xavier's Mansion. That's like an 80s video that's like, come to Xavier's, and it's hosted by Jubilee. So I was super excited about that. For anybody that was listening to this, I'm one of those weirdos that really fucking loves Jubilee and thinks that she's like the coolest X-Men.
Yeah, we talk about her like every week. We're like, Jubilee's gonna be in the X-Men movie for 2
Well, she was
seconds.
Like one of the first punk X-Men. Like it was like her and Boom Boom. So whatever.
Yeah, she's cool. And a lot of other people are like, Jubilee's obnoxious, but you know what?
The people that but whenever they reference that, they specifically reference the 90s show, which we love, but it's not an accurate depiction of like 90% of those characters. So, I mean,
well, we always tell people to read the comics on this show, and this episode is no exception. Read the comics.
They also did like another promo where they did like, I don't think I talked about this, but they did one where they did like 80s arcade games, and then they also did like,
I think we did talk about that on this show. Maybe we did.
And they recently did like 80s album covers that were parodies of like famous albums. So they, but with the X-Men. So for Cyclops, they had like I Wear My Sunglasses at Night, but it's called something else, like Laser Beams at Night or something like that. But it's the same cover with like Cyclops' face. So
that's cool. That's a cute idea.
I know, right? I know you and I be into that. And then they also started releasing some clips here and there. Like they released one that was like Nightcrawler at the mall. They're just like hanging out at the mall, and he gets a brain freeze and freaks out. And apparently they cut that scene from the movie. So like it's a commercial with a cut scene in it. So I don't know what that's about.
Well, they may have cut the commercial together ages ago and just were like, sure, we'll use it. It's cute.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I love that aspect. I'm all pumped for the fact that the X-Men are hanging out at the arcade in the mall, because that's literally like quintessential, like Ryan writes an X-Men fanfic.
I know. A lot of it feels like that. You know, okay, are we going to talk about the scene after the credits?
No, we can't. I think we can't. We shouldn't do that until after we've seen the movie.
Okay, I won't, but I will say that overall, this movie sounds like an X-Men fanfic that we wrote.
I know. I mean, in general, it's even in the 80s. Like, it's a little crazy. So we'll talk more about X-Men next week when we actually review it.
And we will spoil the shit out of it. So
yeah, kind of like we did with Civil War. So
we will. We'll give you a spoiler warning. Don't worry.
But that's it for X-Men. Let's talk about S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, you got to tell me about this. I've never watched an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in my life, but I know
I'm going to clarify. that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of those shows that like some days I like and some days I really can't stand because it's entirely dependent on who's writing an episode. Because sometimes the dialogue is god awful, and sometimes like the plots make no sense. Like all the seasons start off with one plot and then end on a completely different one. So I don't know. They keep on trying to tie it into the movies, and that they just need to stop.
Because the movies keep not acknowledging their existence, and it's sad.
I mean, it's ridiculous, and I keep on clarifying. This is the same issue that Arrow and like The Flash have, where there's a lot of really great actors on these shows that are really good at selling it, even though like sometimes the scripts and the stories are fucking stupid, and like they'll have like the worst dialogue. But like, you know, Chloe Bennett, who plays Quake, is really fucking good, so you can sort of watch it, and it's horrible. So anyway, so they had this whole plot line in this past season that was all about the Inhumans again, and I guess they brought in this one character, Hive, who sort of is turning everybody he can in the world into these like half Inhumans that basically look like vampire zombies, and they like did this whole plot about it, and they're like, so what happens next after like two major characters die? And I don't want to spoil it, but two major characters die. And they're like, so what happens next? And then they get quick cuts in the middle of a super dramatic scene to like 6 months later. And it's like the whole episode was so dumb. And then, like the last 5 minutes were like super interesting.
They were like, we're going to skip ahead to the part of the story that is interesting.
No, that's exactly what happened. Like everybody's like literally crying and it's playing dramatic music. And Gemma Simmons turns around and she's like, what happens next? And immediately it goes 6 months later and it goes boom. And it's like,
dun dun.
Ben and I laughed so hard. We were like, what the fuck is happening?
They were like, we just want to skip all of these characters mourning for 6 months. So.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, that's exactly what happened. And so a quick cut to this like scene in which Daisy Johnson, aka Quake, has gone rogue, and there's like a bunch of news articles pinned up on the wall being like, is Quake a bad guy, a good person? What's her deal? She's destroying like buildings. But you see that she's actively helping people, and like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are trying to catch her or whatever, but she escapes. And she's also super gothed out. She looks like Jessica Jones. So I guess I don't know what that's about. And they don't catch her. And Coulson's like, oh, we need to tell the director we didn't catch her. So number one, Quake is rogue. And also Agent Coulson is no longer the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that really can go in two directions. Either Quake has gone off and created the Secret Warriors, and we're going to get that in the next season, or we're going to investigate this sort of like Skrull invasion thing, which also involved Maria Hill taking over Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a really long time, which I was telling you about. And Quake was working really closely with Nick Fury to figure out who was a Skrull and who wasn't. Mm-hmm. So
because the Skrull are aliens who can disguise their appearance.
Yeah, they're basically shapeshifters.
Yeah.
And then finally
the last bad. They're not always bad, but they're usually bad.
Right. And then the last second of the episode, this like mad scientist dude created like a female cyborg robot, but you didn't see who she was because it was just a silhouette. So nobody knows who that is, but there's a lot of rumors floating around that it might be Joe Costa, which is Ultron's like wife.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's
sweet. I just read all those comics.
So I mean, like, I think it's really interesting that like the last 5 minutes were like really crazy
in any way, and then the rest of the show was
just like a shit show. Like, I mean, speaking of shit shows, that DC Rebirth thing I sent you last night.
Yeah, let's transition to that shit. Okay. So I think it's well known on this show, although we barely ever talk about it, that we aren't huge fans of the new 52 reboot of DC. And we talk about Marvel constantly on the show, so people might not even know that we're at all familiar with DC. But we like DC stuff too, or at least we used to.
And I know, and I still read the new 52, even though it's bad.
I kind of gave up on it, a lot of it. Like I read the Catwoman run that Genevieve Valentine did because I thought it was amazing, and I can recommend all of her writing on that
and I recommend anything that Gail Simone came in and wrote, because she wrote Batgirl for a little while.
She did, but then now there's a new team with Batgirl, and I'm not a fan of everything that they've done.
Right.
I don't want to go off the rails into that right now.
There was also a good run of Batwoman also. So I mean, there were some good things. Wonder Woman was not one of them. They fucked her up real good.
Oh God, God, I don't even know if I want to talk about that either. But I did interview the woman who's writing Wonder Woman and like had a conversation. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, why didn't you go harder on this woman in this interview? Because she fucking sucks. And I'm like, well, you know, when you are a journalist and you're interviewing somebody, you can't just literally insult them to their face. They're not going to answer any of your questions if you come in and you're like, hey, so your take on Wonder Woman isn't good. I mean, like, that's ridiculous.
There's also that whole thing where like, this is the new 52 and DC has told her what to write. So, I mean, there's that whole aspect also.
Has to write those plot lines whether she wants to or not. And like, I think what people don't like is her take on Wonder Woman's personality, but even that is sort of a personal thing. Like, characters' personalities change from writer to writer. That's how it always has been.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to stick it out and read whoever the next writer is, because I just don't really, I'm not a huge fan of her take on Wonder Woman, but that doesn't mean that other people don't like it. So whatever, it's fucking comic books. Just wait around and they're going to change.
And everyone will come back to life too.
I know. Like, so anyway, DC Rebirth is DC not rebooting again, but doing some other weird shit and being like trying to make their stories seem interesting again. Cause I think they're kind of worried these days. I don't know how they're doing.
They probably should be. I mean, when
movies haven't been very good.
What was happening currently? They were like, "Oh, there was a period of time where like Jim Gordon had to sub in as Batman, but he was Mecha Batman."
And both of us read that and we were like, "Whoa, we haven't been reading Batman lately." But apparently, Jim Gordon was Mecha Batman, and we missed it.
And also, they're like, "There's two Supermans because we decided to bring in the Adventures of Lois and Clark, but we're getting rid of the old Superman to replace the one from Lois and Clark, and like, so there's two Supermans floating around." And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
well, because they keep trying to, I can't even remember if this is what you're referring to, but they have like a multiverse right now where they're still writing Superman stories from the beginning.
Yeah.
Before New 52. Is that what the other Superman was?
I mean, yeah, but now they're in the same universe, I guess.
I tried to read this article and I was so confused by it. My eyes were glazing.
Well, okay, the title of the article was like, "What the hell is going on?" Too.
It's like on IO9 or something.
And they're like explaining what's going to happen with the multiverse, and they're bringing back the old Wally West, not the new one. So like, he's going to be there along with the new villain, which is Dr. Manhattan. And I'm like, why is Watchmen there? I was like, Ben sent me the article and he goes, "Wait until you get to the Watchmen part." And I was like, what? And I like
the Watchmen part makes no sense.
What the fuck? So
I can't even explain that at all. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, why is Watchmen there? Why is Watchmen there?
I don't have an answer for you on this at all. Like, the fact that Watchmen would exist in the same universe as these other stories
doesn't even make sense. That doesn't work.
No, because the whole point of Watchmen is that it exists in its own universe where that's the way that superheroes are. And it's like,
I don't fucking know. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this is what happens when franchises buy out other franchises. It could cross over and be great, or it can just be horrible. Like,
I'm kind of worried about DC because
you should be. Maybe Disney will buy them out too, and then Marvel and DC like have a crossover that's permanent. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's called Warcraft Valley.
One-off crossovers between Marvel and DC, and they're usually pretty funny. But I don't think that's going to happen personally. Maybe like some other company will buy DC and help them like make their movies good. Because for better or for worse, Marvel having really good movies is a big reason why people read the comics. Like, I read comics before the movies, but it definitely made me more excited to read more comics when the movies were good. Because I was like, oh, I don't know about this character. I'm going to go back and find out who they are.
I mean,
that helps people figure out who they want to read about.
Definitely like has their problems too, but you're right that it also like inspires people to go and read the comic books, which is important. So, and
like the TV shows, like I think that Teen Titans is a really great show, but I remember even at the time, a lot of people were like, I love Teen Titans, so I went and I tried to read about Starfire, and then I hated all the comic books about her.
I mean, that's exactly what's happening now. So
I mean, that's a situation where the writing for Starfire and Teen Titans was, at the time anyway, way stronger than the writing for that character in the comics. Like, I don't know.
Well, DC's animated stuff is always a million times better than anything else they're putting out.
Good. And they're
like even the stuff they're doing now, because it's that same production team that's been doing it since the 90s.
Yeah, so. And they're still making stuff that's pretty great. And like
very dark and gritty and you know.
Well, but they also make lighthearted stuff like the DC Superhero Girls show, which is like just little short bits.
Or Batman Brave and the Bold. Is that what it was?
Yeah, although that's a little bit older. New one. They're making a new Batman show. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but it'll probably be fine.
They do a new one like every year.
Yeah. But I actually like those shows a lot, and I've read comics. I'm like, this isn't as interesting to me. I don't know. I don't know why. So whatever, DC, get it together.
Get it together, DC. What do you want to do next on here? Do you want to tell me about Overwatch?
Sure. I don't have a ton to say yet because it just came out and I played it the first day with a couple of friends and I thought it was really fun. And a lot of people are comparing it to Splatoon, which is that Wii shooter game, which is like really accessible to people. Right. When people say accessible, what they mean is women are playing it. Like that's what that code word means. And there's like a lot of female characters in Overwatch who are really cool. And a lot of people are already, a lot of men on the internet are like already making fun of that and being like, these girls are only interested in Overwatch so they can look at cute fan art or whatever. And like, that's already a fucking thing. But anyway, the game is good. It's just a team-based shooter. It's like TF2. It's not, I like team-based shooters anyway. And the fact that you get to play as like a bunch of cool ladies is just something that's also really cool. The majority of the characters are still men. I just don't care because there's also a lot of cool ladies in the game.
I'm obviously, you know, I like my game. When I play a game, I prefer to play as the women because they're badass.
Cooler.
But I would prefer it if there was just like an equal amount.
Like that doesn't seem super hard to do. Like
Resident Evil can do it. I always bring it back to Resident Evil. I'm like,
Resident Evil's great, and it's always been great. So. I mean, maybe not now. We don't need to have that discussion again.
But in terms of gameplay, Overwatch is pretty good.
It's fun. And it's like TF2 in the sense that there's like a bunch of different character types. But unlike TF2, there's more than one like kind of heavy character and more than one kind of defensive character and more than one sniper. So you can kind of pick between that. And each of them has like a different special ability. So there's a lot of different stuff to learn. Like you start playing a character and you're like, oh, like they have grenades or they have a zip line or they have a grappling hook or whatever. And you have to figure out how to use that on the battlefield, which is obviously difficult. And you have to figure out how to respond to everybody else's attacks. There's like a lot of characters, like 15 characters, 20 characters. I don't know. I didn't count them. It's a lot of different characters like right out of the gate. So
but that's cool. I'm like into that.
Yeah. And there's tons of different kinds of maps. Like it's not just capture the flag. There's like multiple different maps.
Well, that's good because that should be standard now. A lot of first-person shooter games have like all different types of ways you can play the maps, right?
Yeah, but there's like different objectives for each map. Like sometimes it'll load up and be like, this map is a protect the cargo map, and you have to like drive a big truck full of cargo across the map and defend it. And then
which
if
is pretty
cool.
The
opposing team, you have to try to recapture the cargo or whatever. And sometimes it's like defend this space. And then it's kind of like Counter-Strike where you're like defending a bomb site and you're trying to prevent the terrorists from setting up a bomb. It's kind of like that. I used to play Counter-Strike a lot back in the day. So like
I remember those days.
Team-based shooters are like the thing. I don't know. I also like I really liked Overwatch, but there was a moment early on in Overwatch when I was like, I kind of want to quit this game and boot up Counter-Strike. And I felt really bad for thinking that because I was like...
I totally get that because that's... I do that all the time with games. Like right now, you know, I'm playing like a shitload of Elder Scrolls Online. But every time I play, I'm like, I just want to play Skyrim again. Like...
And it like reminded me of Counter-Strike in a good way. And I was just like, man, I really want to play that. And I'm like feeling so nostalgic for Counter-Strike. But then I'm like, well, my friends are playing Overwatch right now. Like, why would I ditch my friends to go play this other fucking game by myself? Like, what's wrong with you?
Also,
my brain just automatically was like, man, it'd be really great to play some Counter-Strike matches right now. Like, what?
I also want to point out that it's really great that you are referencing all these first-person shooter games. I'm just referencing fantasy games. So it's like, those are the type of games we both play. Like
I know. That's fine. We have our own tastes. Anyway, that's enough talking about Overwatch. You want?
I haven't played anything really new except for like Elder Scrolls, but I did download this random mobile app, Jack and Jill. It's fun. You can download it. It's for free. It's a 2D platformer like puzzle game. and it's like set up to look like a Game Boy game, and you just like control a blob that like jumps around and stuff, and you got to figure out how to do it because you can't control yourself from stopping, so you have to jump over stuff and leap off the stuff, and you just get to the other side, and it's like super cute, and it has like 8-bit music, and it actually feels like a Game Boy game. So I'm currently addicted to that, and I definitely recommend it. Jack and Jill, everybody.
I've
One
never
up the hill.
heard of that before.
No, I didn't either. I sometimes go into like Google Play and I just see what the fuck's around. So that's something I downloaded, and I definitely recommend it. You would probably really like it because it really is very nostalgic to Game Boy games, and it feels like one.
I do like Game Boy games. Game Boy games are pretty cool.
Woo!
Do you want to talk about a throwback? Do we want to talk about Robin Hood?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So okay.
I don't know why that's on there. Just randomly.
Well, I randomly watched it again because you can stream it on Netflix, and because of Robot Knight's Werewolf on the Dance Floor, I was sort of thinking of like anamorphic characters and stuff, and how Maddie, Katie, and I, when we were kids, used to do this like role play where we were anamorphic, like wolves and foxes. I was an alien. Yeah. I wasn't any of those, but
like I think we've talked about like essentially this LARP that Katie and I wrote when we were kids. It was sort of based on a bunch of other games that we played at the time or that our friends
like
played.
World of Warcraft and stuff like that. But
yeah, and like Magic cards and just other and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff that we were like familiar with vaguely, and we were like, let's build our own characters and make a game, and like here's the structure of it. And we did that, and our characters were anthropomorphic animals. And then when Ryan joined the game later, he was an alien.
I mean, none of us were human. The end.
None of us were human because we didn't want
we were the X-Men of medieval times. But I mean, because of Werewolf on the Dance Floor, I was thinking about that role play, which then made me think about where it probably actually really started for us as kids, which was watching Robin Hood. Like your character was definitely like the same character as Maid Marian.
It was like it was sort of like she was the same character as Robin Hood, except a lady, because she was like a warrior who lived in the woods, and she was sort of like Xena, but she was an anthropomorphic fox also.
Right. So because of that, I ended up watching it on Netflix again. And it's a really long movie, number one, considering when it came out. It's like an hour and a half long of animation, which, you know, for now that seems like nothing, but like 50 years ago, like that's a lot of like illustrating 2D things. And it's a gorgeous movie, which I totally did not appreciate until I rewatched it right now. Like, and it's really dark. Like there's like a scene in there where like the police guy is like putting all the animals in jail.
Of Nottingham.
Yeah, and like all the animals are like
that
dying
sad
in jail.
Not in Nottingham, where they're all like starving to death. Yeah,
I know. And it's like I remembered that part, but like I didn't remember how dark it was. Like the animals are just like dying and rotting in jail until like Robin Hood frees them all.
Yeah, and the reason why
it's supposed to be like a comedy, but the entire time the whole movie is like super dark. Like
yeah, and the movie like sort of tries to explain to you about why income disparity is bad. Like they literally can't pay their taxes. There isn't enough money for them to pay their taxes, and that's why they're in jail. And like that's some pretty heavy shit to try to explain to a kid.
Well, yeah, but like they're also raised the taxes because the standing in king is like mad that they're making fun of him, so he's like, I'm gonna raise the taxes even more. But that
doesn't make sense, because if people don't have more money, you can't make them give it to you.
No, that's true, but he's just an asshole. You're supposed to dislike this character.
You definitely are. And it's like, yeah, but I know a lot of people complain about like the repetitive animations in Robin Hood. Like apparently they like reused a bunch of animations from
you can tell,
and from Aristocats, which are both great movies, and like they reused
Aristocats.
Yeah, but
everybody wants to be a cat.
I actually don't think Aristocats holds up well. Like
I've not watched that since I was a kid. I just remember the music.
That's one of those Disney movies where there isn't a plot, and The Jungle Book is the same way. It's just a bunch of fun jazz songs and talking animals.
Well, it's all from the same era where they were like
cool jazz and blues songs that we just want animals to perform.
It's just a retelling. Cool? Well, it's like Robin Hood's a retelling of like a really dark story with animals, but like around that time they were just making animal movies, so
which is fine. But I think Robin Hood is the best one because it has an actual story and characters and stuff happens in it.
Also, Robin Hood, like I rewatched it. I was like, I still have a crush on him. He is a very dapper fur fox.
He's adorable, and I don't even know why. Like, I don't know. Like, there's been a
because
lot of
he's a dude that
speculation.
cares about people. I mean, like,
He is. He's also got great politics. Like, he believes that rich people should share their money, and that's great. And he doesn't hurt anybody. He just steals from the rich and gives it away
to the poor.
That's amazing.
Lil Jon's a bear in it, which is great. And
it is great. They're great.
I
remember like watching that movie inspired me to actually check out like some old Robin Hood books from the library and like read them, which was
my god,
cool.
Really?
Yeah, like when I was a kid,
I maybe watch Robin Hood Men in Tights, but
that movie's great. But I remember like actually reading the myths at the time as a kid and like thinking it was really cool that the movie sort of does a tribute to it. Like in the original myths about Robin Hood, like not that they're real per se, but in the myths, Robin Hood and Little John like met each other on a bridge and like had a duel.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, I remember that. We had to read that in school,
in order to gain trust of each other, they like had a duel together and like matched arrows. And that was how they met. And in the movie, they show a joking part in that opening song where the fox and the bear are like on a bridge together and they're pretending to duel. And it's like in the context of the movie, it's like them being like, "Ha, remember this time when we first met?" But it's never explained. It's just like a fun joke that the two of them have together when they're on the bridge. And like, if you know about that Robin Hood story, then you watch it and you're like, holy shit. Like,
I didn't even think about that. That's really smart.
It's so cool.
Really
rewatch the original song. There's like a part where they're on the bridge together and they're like joking around with each other about pretending to have a duel. It's really great. It's just little stuff like that where they're like, it's sort of like a shout out to like people who were familiar with the original story of Robin Hood. And there's a bunch of other stuff that's like just the same story, but for some reason it's animals. I don't know.
It's true. Although it's still, just so you know, it still has the same problem as all the Disney movies do, as where the villain is super gay again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and his like a little right hand
snake buddy
also super gay, and they're gay with each other. I'm like, what is with Disney putting gay people in villainizing roles?
I don't know. They do it all the time, and I hate it. I agree.
Well,
I agree.
What it turned out to do for me as a kid is like, well, I like all the villains in all the Disney movies, but none of the heroes. Good going, Disney.
Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, maybe Disney will finally put a gay character in a heroic role. Maybe.
Who knows?
Probably never.
Maybe Elsa. Who knows? All right, let's do some reader mail. How's that sound?
It sounds good.
Okay. James just sent one in that says, I was wondering which of your songs that your band made are your favorite, if you can decide.
Oh, God, no. I don't know if I can decide.
I've decided for you that I really love Werewolf on the Dance Floor. So there's me.
Yeah, that song is really great. It's honestly, it's like almost impossible for me to decide a favorite of something that I've done, if that makes any sense. Like, it's really hard for me to have perspective about that. I literally don't think I could choose something, because everything has some sort of emotional resonance for me where I'm like, well, I remember when we all did this together, like you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I can't separate it from the experience of writing the song with my band. And like all of those songs, I don't know, man, they're all really good. So anyway, the answer is clearly Werewolf on the Dance Floor. Clearly.
For me. If I had to pick a song that I wrote in a band, it's clearly that harmonizing Peach's Castle that I sent you 20 years ago.
We should clearly link to that in the show notes, because that's a great example of Ryan's musical abilities. Ryan, I don't know why you brought this up, but Ryan created like an a cappella singing version of the Peach's Castle theme, and it's pretty good. I don't know.
From like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have here? We have another fan mail that says, Hi, Maddy and Ryan. Are you a fan of group classes at gyms? I got a membership as part of my school tuition, but I'm a little intimidated to use the machines or free weights in front of the mirror. The place also offers group stuff with instructors, but I'm not sure how useful a TRX or a HIIT, I think it's HIT, or a spin class would be in compared to like Pologa.
I used to do both of those things. I when I had a gym membership in college, like a really fancy schmancy gym membership that had classes, I would go and I'd do like half an hour on a treadmill and then a few minutes of weights. But but then sometimes I'd go and take a class. I thought the classes were fucking great. And I really wish I still had a fancy schmancy gym membership, because every single class I did was amazing. Like I took boxing classes and learned how to box, which was really fun. I took a yoga class, which was terrible, and I decided I hated yoga, but the class was great. I just wanted to try it, and it was really cool that I could try it. I took multiple different kinds of aerobics classes, like a step class where they give you that big plastic step and you step on and off of it, and the teacher shows
my god, that was like super throwback to the 80s and 90s right there.
80s and fun, and the teacher like put on all this fun pop music, and like you step around and you mimic her movements, and it was really fun and a more fun way to get aerobic exercise than just running or walking on a treadmill, which I would say is the easiest place to start, by the way. Like if you don't know how to use any of the machines, just use the treadmill and look around the room, like watch other people using the Stairmaster.
Yeah, totally. And also, you don't be afraid to ask other people, because they'll tell you. People like are at
especially an employee of the gym. Like you can literally ask an employee and be like, "Hey, so like, how does this machine work?" It's their job to tell you. Like,
I mean, and I think the nice thing about classes too, if you decide to do classes, is that there's sort of like a social aspect to it too, because you're all doing what the instructor's saying and sort of working together. If you could go with a friend, like sometimes your friend can bring you in for a day, like absolutely do that, because then you can do a class with them and then you'll realize that they're pretty fun. Classes are fun because they're like usually cardio or like yoga, so it's kind of like but also if you've never lifted weights before, there might be a weightlifting beginner class that you could try. Like really liked every class I took at every time. Like I'm also going to point out that like usually in most gyms they have like they'll offer you, be like, do you want a one-on-one session with somebody, and do that because
sometimes
it'll show you how not to hurt yourself on the weights.
But sometimes you do have to pay extra for stuff like that. But there might be a group class that's included in your membership. So if money is a problem, just check out the classes.
See what the membership says.
Also, the other thing is that it was way easier to get myself to go to the gym when I knew there was a class that I wanted to take. Like when I was doing boxing for
Throwback to schedules.
A few months. Yes, no, seriously. I was like, okay, so boxing only happens at the gym on these specific days at these specific times. I got to make sure to get to the gym in time, change in time, and make it in time so I can go to this class that I'm excited about. And like, I would like reorganizing my day around making sure I could go to a class. And that also ensured that I actually went to the gym.
I know, right?
So that could be a way for you to make sure that you're keeping up with your workouts if you find a class that you think is really fun. I never took a spin class. I literally hate biking. I
love it though.
I mean, if you like biking, then you might like a spin class.
But you also have to realize you're sitting in one place for a very long time. So
yeah, that was my problem. I could never get my heart rate up. Like I would just, I don't know, it would be really hard for me because I have fun.
I just throw on music and then imagine them in a video game. I pretend I'm playing Mario Kart, so that's another way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like biking, but like, you know, decide the thing that you like to do in real life. Like if you like walking and a light jog, then you might like the treadmill. Like I like treadmills.
I like treadmills too.
I like walking and running and alternating between walking and running. Every couple minutes you can alternate.
The only thing with the treadmill is that, again, you're in one place, and for me that drove me a little crazy, which is why I trail run instead.
Yeah, but usually gyms have like a movie playing with subtitles, so you can listen to your music and also like watch a movie or watch the news
or whatever. You can bring a book with you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there's ways to keep it interesting, and I don't know. Gyms are pretty cool, and I kind of miss living near one, but whatever. Go to the classes and appreciate them.
That's the end of that. Just go to the classes. Do it.
Yeah, do it.
Another reader mail is from Taylor, and it says, "Hi, Maddy and Ryan. Now that I'm sure that I didn't jinx it this week, congrats on the Robot Knights campaign. I'm really glad it's already doing so well. Ryan's Adventures of Toad got me thinking about how Nintendo often sidelines their more interesting secondary characters. Poor Daisy. Aww. Are there any pop culture sidekicks that you think deserve a chance in the spotlight?" Totally. I mean, most of the time I like the sidekicks more than the main characters themselves.
Yeah, and like sometimes people will do like a cool spin-off about the sidekick, and sometimes that works really well, and sometimes it just doesn't work at all. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, like if you're writing something, like who the most interesting character really is, because
it's like a good way to put it is that the most interesting thing about Batman is usually his like sidekicks that make him into a character. You know what I mean? Because like
that's also why Teen Titans is so good, and Young Justice, because those shows are entirely about sidekicks. Like, that's what I loved about those shows, was that Young Justice was like, remember all these like fun sidekick characters? What if they all knew each other and started doing shit?
You know, I mean, like, that's what was great about it.
Cool. So like, that's an example of doing it really well, I think.
Right. And even when you look back at like Buffy and Xena, their sidekicks were like super fun and interesting. Like,
true.
like I
Although,
loved.
I think Xena did a pretty good job of like actually including Gabrielle, even though her name
That's true.
included.
That's absolutely true.
She got to do a lot of stuff because Xena was a great show.
And on Angel, like the actual Angel show, that was the spinoff of Buffy. Cordelia is my favorite. She's amazing. I mean, you love her more than you love Angel. So, I mean,
I kind of feel like Cordelia should have had her own show.
That's how I feel too. But there's a lot of background information on why that didn't happen. So,
yup. So I guess let's say Cordelia is the character who deserved better treatment than she got.
That's true. But I also agree with the fact that, first of all, thanks for watching Adventures of Toad. I didn't think anybody would. I did it for my friend Courtney because she was like, "You should put all your snaps together." I was like, "Okay." But Toad is actually probably, I mean, Toad and Peach were my primary favorite characters in the Mario franchise. So, also,
Daisy's also cool.
Daisy is really cool. And in Sonic the Hedgehog, I really love Amy Rose and Knuckles the Echidna. So, like, I think I'm all about the sidekicks more than I am about, like, actual main characters.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway, one more reader mail, and then we got to do recipes and close out. This is the one that I sent you earlier it's a little bit longer, but it's from Brian, and he said, "I figured that I would write in as you guys always wonder who your audience is and how we found you. I am part of the Orlando nerd music scene. He's going to Nerdapalooza, Nerdfest, and other smaller events. One of those guys shared your Psalmist Peace in Space EP a while ago, and I heard that you had another band, and he, though I couldn't find out much more about them and no idea what they sounded like. And then he said that he started listening to Isometric, which is now Disruption, and then you left. So then he started checking out Insomniacs." I'm trying to abbreviate because it's a long email.
Yeah.
And he's also an unconventional listener because he's a conservative Christian and libertarian Republican, but he likes following us and agreeing and disagreeing to break out of his box and learn more and sort of act like an ambassador between groups. So, and more sounds like you're independent, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You might be more of an independent voter than you think, sir, but we don't know your business.
Right. And I mean, I thought that was really cool. And I
thought that was really cool too. I'm surprised that a libertarian can even fucking stand us.
I know, but I mean,
props to this guy for putting up with our socialist rhetoric.
I mean, I like that he likes to hear other people's opinions and perspectives because it may change the way he thinks. And I think that is the right way to go instead of just assuming that like you are like on one side or not.
I have read all of Atlas Shrugged in the spirit of hearing out Ayn Rand's philosophy, and I think now I understand it. I still don't agree with it, but I definitely understand like where libertarians are coming from, and we agree on some stuff, not everything.
But I think that's cool that I mean, that whole background
reaching outside of your comfort zone is definitely cool. And like, yeah, that's cool that you listen to Isometric, which is a very different show. And now you listen to this show, which is just
which is not, I mean, anything. It's just us fucking around, but
yeah,
we appreciate it.
If you were looking for a finely structured show with lots of news topics, this is not that. Sorry. I don't know.
Although, I mean, he did submit a joke and a recipe, so there's some structure.
Okay.
His joke is, why couldn't the hunter board the airplane? Because they didn't allow carry-on luggage. Carry-on spelled Carrion.
Yeah, like carrion. I get it.
And his recipe is, take a can of coconut cream, he uses Trader Joe's, and pour it into a container. Mix in whatever ice cream ingredients you would like, such as chocolate, fruit, syrup, mint, ginger, or whatever, and refrigerate it. You should add some sweeter to taste as well. I used liquid stevia. The end result is creamier than ice cream, is super easy to make, and probably healthier as well. I make this a lot, and I am a gluten-free, mostly dairy-free diet. So,
wow. So that's a good one for vegans who want an ice cream.
Yeah, and he also says if you
real sugar, because I prefer real sugar, but
yeah,
do whatever you want.
And he says if you only have canned coconut milk, you can thicken it by boiling it with the starch or by separating the water from the cream, also by refrigerating it. So, fun fact. Thank you for that recipe. It's nice.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
And it's good to hear things for vegans/vegetarians, which I'm a vegetarian, but I'm not a vegan. So,
but I'm sure we have vegan listeners.
And then on to Skye, who sent 2 emails. One that says favorite MakoFury song.
Favorite MakoFury song? Well, I was just talking to Skye about the song "God Is Gay," which I think is great. But there's a lot of like really awesome MakoFury songs if you want to listen to Skye's music that you could check out.
Go look it up because she's great and she submits our. She gets our recipes going because we can't. So.
I also got to see Skye play a live show once, and she destroyed a Rock Band guitar by smashing it on stage.
I heard about that, actually.
And it was fucking rad as hell, so...
Basically, Skye's awesome.
If you can see Skye's show live, you should do it.
All right, so her recipe today is super easy and super fun. It's Haupia, which she put in parentheses how to pronounce it, but I'm just reading it as Haupia. So I don't know if that's, I mean, that probably is how she directed it. I don't know. The traditional Hawaiian pudding made from coconut and precious little L's. You're going to need 5 tablespoons of cornstarch, a pinch of salt, 1/8 a teaspoon, I guess, 2 cups of coconut milk. That's it. Place cornstarch, sugar, and salt in saucepan. Stir in 1/4 of coconut milk to make a smooth paste. Stir in the remaining coconut milk and bring to a simmer over low heat, stirring constantly. The key to good pudding is patience. The constant stirring and low or low medium heat is very important. Cook and stir until thickened so that it coats the back of the spoon. Pour in 9 by 13 baking sheet and refrigerator until it becomes pudding. Got it. About 2 hours. This is such a simple recipe. I've made it in other people's kitchens, vegan kitchens even.
Wow, we have multiple coconut-based vegan desserts today.
I know. Skye, just like if I made it, it would probably still catch on fire because it's me.
Yeah, I tried to make pudding once the old-fashioned way with milk with my mom for a recipe that we were trying, and it was so hard to do. Because if you make it with coconut milk, there's fewer concerns, but like heating up milk, you have to be really careful not to scald it, and like it's very, very difficult. So I would guess that making something with coconut milk and starch is probably easier.
Probably. I would still set it on fire.
Yep.
Cool. And her joke of the week is, well, there's 2 of them, and they're both really dark.
Great.
No, they're really dark. So I'm just letting you. She gave us like a heads up too. She said, "Okay, this one isn't really for the room, but my comedy friend encouraged me to tell it. So here it goes. What do you call a group of trans women? A depression." And then she also writes,
Holy shit.
I know she's really, it's a dark turn this week. And she goes, what does a politician call a group of trans women? Prime targets to stir up the base. And she goes, well, those were dark.
Yep.
Correct.
I don't know that those are funny, but
they're not even really jokes. So I just that's actually a problem.
What's happening right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a huge problem. So
pretty fucked up. Call your congressman.
Yeah, pretty much. Ugh. I mean, you know how I feel about this.
No, I know. We take a firm stance against bullshit on this show.
Pretty much. Just don't be an asshole to people. The end.
Yeah, let them be who they are.
The end.
Yep.
I get so annoyed about this. We don't have time to have me to go into a rant about it, so we're not going to.
Anyway, let's talk about pudding recipes. Do you have any coconut-based desserts that you like?
Listen, I can't even fucking make desserts.
I know, but okay. So, do you ever have alcoholic drinks with coconut in them? Because there's a lot of really good ones. Do you ever get
I like coconut,
colada?
But I don't like pina coladas.
Are they too sweet for you? You're not much of a sweet person.
I like coconut in very small doses. So,
I think I've recommended this on the show before, but I've had cereal or oatmeal. If you make it with coconut milk, it's really good. But the only problem is that coconut milk is really expensive compared to almond milk, which is what I normally make it with. But if you're want a really nice special occasion, making it with coconut milk, it tastes super, super good. So oatmeal or whatever you normally make with milk. That coconut flavor just really adds an extra layer of awesomeness to whatever you're making. So yeah, I recommend just making stuff with coconut milk because it's really good.
I'm sitting here and I can't even think of anything I would do with coconut, period. I'm just not a fan. It's the only thing. I mean, no, I got nothing.
It's perfectly fine if you don't like coconut.
I'm trying to think of something that would be a good vegan alternative to something, but I'm not vegan, so it's a little harder for me to do that. I still love my cheese and my eggs, so.
Yeah, I know. There's not that many great replacements for those things.
I guess if
eggs,
yeah.
You can't really replace eggs. You have to just kind of come up with other things to eat instead of that.
I mean,
don't worry about it. You don't have to have a recipe every week. We should probably wrap it up.
We really should. I got nothing this week. I'm sorry, guys. I failed. Okay. I failed. And also I'm thrown off because now I'm angry. So
I know. I'm sorry. All right.
No, it's not your fault. I'm just angry because I'm like, okay, everyone.
The world fucking sucks.
Yeah. And we're like, why can't everyone just fucking get along and stop worrying about like
other people's business?
Yeah. Like pretty much. Anyway,
follow us at Insomniacs in the Morning on YouTube. And if you want a 10-minute
right here
of the show where we only talk about the important topics, Ryan cuts together and
puts it up on our main channel, which is Atomic Blue Productions. And I put up
productions.com is also a place where you can find all of our shows and stuff.
And I just posted up the Gargoyles clip from last week, so you can find that on the YouTube channel. You can also go follow my other YouTube channel, which is Follow the Sun Vlog, which starts on Monday. So you get to see our adventures of our X-Men party there.
Damn straight.
And you can follow us at Dr. Yoshi2 and Samus Clone on Twitter. And you can also follow Atomic Blue Productions on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram. Mm-hmm. And we're on iTunes.
Yes.
So that's also, what I always forget.
If you don't like watching us on YouTube and you just want to hear an audio-only version of the show, we're on iTunes. But I feel like the fact that we're talking about that on this show at the end of the show means that literally no one ever knows it exists.
No, that's not true because people are downloading it.
People do download
paying for it, which means people are downloading it.
They find it, but somehow they do find it and they download it. So
and if you don't use iTunes, you can get it on the website.
Yeah, you can go to atomicblueproductions.com and look at the RSS feed for the podcast version of this show.
Yep.
And also, if you want to email us, we will respond to your reader mail at insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com.
If you want to support Maddie's band and make a donation, you can do that on Indiegogo at Robot Nights. Reboot
Neats. We can't say anything today.
Anyway, Maddie, I can't wait to see you
on Saturday. Subscribe to everything we do. Email us. Do all the things.
All that things. Maddie, I can't wait to see you at the X-Men party. We're going to be giant fucking nerds. Yeah, we're going to do that the entire time.
We're going to sing the X-Men theme. Okay, bye.
Bye.